Hello, we are going to talk about a new topic now about deploying an FTP server. So let us go through what we are going to do here. It says that deploy an FTP server so that users can only download files from it. So this is an important point. They can only download the files, they cannot upload the files. So that is one thing that we have to remember. And then the security of this server should be set up should be configured in such a way that users can log in anonymously. That means the login ID password security is not set up, so it's kind of an open FTP server. So we'll see how to do it. Now to configure any of the servers, there are certain basic steps. Step number one is to make sure that you have installed the software. Now in this case the name of the software is VSFTPD. So we have to make sure that we have installed this software. Once the software is installed, then we have to configure it. We have to configure the software according to the requirements. So here our requirement is that it should be only allowing downloads there. And then also another thing is that it should allow a anonymous login, so there is no security required. So configuration file that you have to kind of change, and for most of the servers, whether it's a web server, FTP server or SSH server, there are certain configuration files. So for the FTP server, the configuration file that you have to remember is vsftpd.conf. It is in the etc directory. And the third thing, once that is done, important thing is to configure it to start on boot. This is an important thing. So we may configure the server properly, we may install it properly, all the parameters or the attributes are properly configured in step number 2, but if you forget to restart it on the boot, that will be an issue. And once this is done, then I would say fourth, which is also an important, test it. So for testing, if you need any other software, then you may have to install that if necessary. Otherwise, the basic test will do. So this is how we're gonna follow our FTP server deployment. So let me now open up another window. Now first, let us see if the FTP server is already configured. So service vsftpd status. So VSFTPD service, it is showing that unrecognized service. Unrecognized service means it does not even recognize that service, and it clearly means that it has not been installed at all. So forget about configuring it, it has not been installed. So I'm going to install it now. Now what software, what RPM and all that stuff, that's a big question. You need to have the RPM to install it, and that is why we have to set up the Yum server. So in our previous videos, we have seen that our Yum server has been configured, and the file to configure the Yum server is inside etc yum.repos.d yum.repos.d, and here there is a repo file that we have already created. As you can see, it is pointing to a Yum repository at University of Texas. Okay, GPG check is not required. So I'm assuming that we have already set up our server to be a Yum client. Our server is now acting as a client, and our Yum server is on this machine. So let us now install that Yum and install VSFTPD. So it will go over. My internet connection is up, and therefore it is going to the RHCSA repository, and it is now finding out that there is a package. Let me go up again. So we started from this command. It went to the RHCSA repository there, and then it immediately started resolving the dependencies, because in the last process we had downloaded all the dependency information from our University of Texas server. It started resolving the dependencies. As you can see, this is the package. This is the version. Package version is 2.2. Is set to be updated. There are no dependencies here. As you can see, it's only showing one package here. Size is very small here, 155 kilobytes, and I'm going to install it by typing yes, and the software will be downloaded and it will be installed. Now once the software is installed, I'm going to check, or I'm going to run the service vsftpd status command. Okay, I had earlier executed that command, and that time I had received a error message that the vsftpd is an unrecognized service. Now you can see it recognizes the service, but it is not running. So we can restart the service. Okay, but before I restart it, I would like to configure it, or before I start it, I would like to configure it. So let us go to the etc directory vsftpd okay, actually see vsftpd, and the file here is vsftpd.conf. Okay, I think in my earlier I had mentioned that this is the file, but this is not correct. vsftpd, and inside that vsftpd.conf. So this is the correct file name. So I'm there now. I'm going to reduce the font just, or maybe I will set the line numbers there. So there are certain important attributes here. Anonymous enable is equal to yes. This is set to yes, which is what we want. If we don't want anonymous FTP to be enabled, then we should set this to no. So this is already set up. We don't have to change anything, but this is the file you probably would be changing if you want to set something else. If you want to change the umask of a file that has been uploaded, then that is something. And here upload. Let me search for the word upload. Okay, now look at this here. It says uncomment this to allow anonymous FTP users to upload files. This only has an effect if the above global right is enabled, blah blah blah. So is this commented or uncommented? It is right now commented, so we will not be allowing any file uploads, only the downloads will be done. And so this is one parameter that you need to consider setting up, and this is another parameter that you should consider setting up based on our requirement that we have given. And these are already set up, so the default configuration parameters in our case are good enough, but it is always a good idea to go through these parameters. So I'm not gonna make any changes to this file. I'm gonna come out without saving anything, and then so that is what I don't need to really make any changes, but I just wanted to show you that that is the file where the changes are made for the configuration. So now I'm gonna do a start of the server. So service vsftpd start. vsftpd has been started. We can check that by using the status command. It is running with the PID of 2557 ps-ef grep vsftpd shows me the same thing, that it is running with 2557. This is the command actually. It is in user sbin, and it is reading from this configuration file. Okay, so if you forget where the configuration file is, then you can, like me, you can start the vsftpd and it will show you the configuration file name right here. So the service is running, and now where is the default directory for our vsftpd server? And that is in var ftp. This is the default directory. So if I create a directory called as abcd here, then anybody who is going to log into my FTP server will see that abcd directory. If I have another file here, I'm going to say va.txt. I will say my name is Shekhar, and I'm going to save this. So this is a file directory, sorry, it is a directory var ftp abcd, and inside that I have a file called as a.txt. Now let us test it. Okay, so I'm going to test it using the ftp command. My IP address now is what? IPADDR is has been changed to 4, so I'm going to say ftp 172.24.1.4. Oh, the FTP command is not there. I have not installed that. I think I will have lftp command, which is installed. Yes, or maybe let us install the FTP command. Yum install FTP. So this is the client, the earlier was the server. So even to test, I had to install something, and now the FTP client is available. 192.168.1.4. Now it has connected to that server from the server which is running the VS FTPD 2.2.2 version. We had seen the version that we had installed. It was same as this, and then it is asking me for the login ID. Even though we had set it up to login anonymously, why it is asking us the login ID? Because anonymous doesn't mean that you will not have to log in. You will have to log in with the username called as anonymous, and the password can be anything. So I'm just typing some garbage there, and I'm inside my FTP server now. If you type the pwd command, it does not show var FTP. It shows root, because that is the root of FTP server. So var FTP is the root, and now if you see, there are these directories. ABCD is there right here, and inside ABCD we have a file called as a.txt. This a.txt is now something that I'm going to download. Get a.txt, and it says it has received the file. 19 bytes of the files have been received, and I'm going to type quit. And I'm in this, oh, I'm on the same directory. I should not have done that. So I downloaded it to the same one, but I have now downloaded that file. The file comes to the present working directory. So that is what the whole thing is. It overwrote my file, which is already there. This test of logging into the FTP server, where did I start this test? Of logging into the FTP server should be actually executed from a different machine. So I'm assuming you have a different machine on the network, and from there you should do this thing. Now one important thing is that if there is any firewall running on your machine where the FTP server is configured, it will not allow the clients to connect. It will not even show you the prompt. So make sure that you go to the firewall settings and disable the firewall. I'm going to show, see, FTP, the port is open, the firewall is not disabled, the port is open, which is a good thing. And if the firewall was on, then you will not be able to even connect to the FTP server. So 2-3 things that you need to remember is also to maybe install FTP client, and then finally check the firewall setting. Okay, so this is how we install the FTP server and configure it and actually test it. Now we are forgetting the important thing which I had mentioned here. Configure it to start on the boot, which I'm going to do it very quickly now. Is chkconfig vs ftpd on. This will make sure that your service is, or the VS FTP service is automatically started when we restart the machine. And this is configured, this configuration can be confirmed by seeing this on word at various run levels. So I always forget this thing. Don't forget that. I will make sure, because after doing all the configuration correctly, if we forget this thing, then it will create problems in your certification. So the mistake that I'm making, please don't do those mistakes there. Make sure that your services are configured to start, not just FTP, any other service are configured to start on the boot. So this is how we set up the FTP server.